What is up, everybody? Welcome to TSSZ on Twitch and Mixer. You're watching the final episode of TSSZ Plays Sonic Adventure right here on stream, right here, right now. Oh, it's going to be a good time because we got Noah here with us, ladies and gentlemen. He's back. He's ready for more. And we're going to play ourselves a little Sonic game right now. Noah, how's it going tonight?
It's going great, man. I'm excited. I haven't played the last story of Adventure 1 in a very long time, but I loved it.
And you know what? It's about to happen right now. So without further ado, let's...
Be prepared for a lot of story.
Oh, ooh, that's my favorite.
Yeah, yeah.
All right, let's do it. I have too many windows open. So that should be working. So we have, according to this, 7 hours, 27 minutes clocked into this so far, and we have one final story to go, so let's
select your character.
27 hours?
7 hours, 27 minutes. I'm not that bad.
Okay. I was about to say.
Close, but not that bad. So, Supersonic is all that's left. Let's... Did it just go, That's good.
Yeah. Who is it?
Oh,
we don't know.
Boy. We don't know what Supersonic... Oh. Well, that's not a good place to put your rare and precious gems. Tails. Front of the plane. See, you know it's serious when it gets pre-rendered. That's when. that's when it's really going down.
It's pre-rendered. Watch out.
Man. Look at that! Look at that water sim. That's amazing.
I miss this game.
Ooh, I hate that Sonic.
Typical day for Eggman.
The voice acting kills me. This is amazing.
Dude, Dean Bristro's my boy.
Oh man. Oh. Everyone's favorite puddle.
Chaos!
that was good pushing. What is
Yeah.
Chaos up to, I wonder?
It's all about to go down, son.
The Master Emerald is
Back at the altar. We're not chuckling here, folks. Remember.
But Angel
No chuckles.
is still falling.
Oh no.
This doesn't
Oh,
make
no.
any sense.
Didn't it just...
Maybe
What splashed into the water in the pre-rendered?
those
Angel
Chaos
Island.
Emeralds that I brought back with me have something to do with what's happening.
Like, if everything's restored, why is the island floating?
That's not good. Oh? Nice.
Eggman.
It's an interesting place to take a nap.
This is terrible. Chaos is what?
Dude, the stakes.
Is a puddle. So this kicks off the long trend of, like, the side villain usurping Eggman and becoming the final boss in these kinds of games, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
You
it was the
heard it
first
here
one.
first. Look like he's just chilling.
With his backwards hand.
Yeah.
Guess Eggman learned his lesson. Yep. And maybe I'll
Yep.
take another vacation somewhere.
Man, I
You
love
look
Ryan
pretty cozy where you are, man. Clipping. I wish my hand could clip through my cheek.
Hey there, Tails. Did you find the tornado too?
Never mind
Oh.
that. Get
Oh.
up and follow me. Angel Island is falling again.
Not
Hey,
again.
no way. Who blew it this time?
Oh, I don't know, but we better
Who
hurry.
blew it this time? Oh.
Oh, I actually got it. Okay, we're really... I thought this was just like the final boss. And we're done. Not so. Is that...
Aren't
I mean,
you,
that's
aren't you
not
supposed
what
to
I'm
go
supposed
to Angel Island?
You'd think I would have learned the map at this point, but that's not how this works.
No, it's not.
In my defense, there was like a 2-month chunk of time, which the viewers I remember where we just
okay.
weren't playing this.
I've had like a 10-year chunk of time, and I knew where to go.
But remember, I haven't played this before. Like, if I picked up, like, I don't know, Mario Sunshine or something, I know exactly where everything is, but...
Oh, dude, that is a game I don't want to play again.
Ugh.
Okay.
Alright. That's entirely... I'm just warming up so I don't have to
No excuses.
be bad later. There, Katamari's got it. Okay, we're gonna stay on the ground. going on, guys? I'm guessing it's not where you want me. Where's Angel Island supposed to be?
It's over where Eggman was.
Where Eggman was.
Falling
back
down.
by Tails'
No.
Or was
Go
there
back
something
to the
else?
altar.
Okay.
Where Eggman was just lying down and having a
I
stroke
gotcha,
or whatever.
gotcha. Yeah.
So to the right.
Yep. I'm with it. I know what I'm doing. There we go. Oh.
Sonic, sorry.
I like that this is really like a fully
And Eggman.
realized sort
What
of
happened here?
last
stole my
act of the
Chaos
game. It's
Emerald.
not just
Heck yeah.
like a tacked on
Yeah.
boss
It's
fight or
still
two.
alive.
Yes,
What?
Sonic games used to have an important last thing.
They're
The
going.
past few Sonic games just feel like the last boss was nothing, when they used to be like the highlight,
Eggman, wait
And then
up.
there's no like
like the grand
super-
finale.
Like you could call this the end game or whatever. There
Sonic.
isn't that
Chaos is a fearsome
in,
beast.
generation or anything.
If he gets
I
that
don't look, the
last
stakes
Chaos
are
Emerald, we're done
raised,
for.
man. Freaking
No
Knuckles
need
is
to
out.
explain. We'll get on it.
Like,
Tails?
man, let's
Right.
go.
What?
Hello.
Here we go.
Jeez.
Oh.
Time for our last bit.
Ooh.
This place.
All shall be
It
revealed.
looks familiar. It's not a dream after all.
Whoa. So I was looking up some stuff about the original version of this game, and there was a big article about how this game just being ported has like ruined its visuals.
No way!
Yeah, ask Ryan about that.
Because like I'm looking at like the mountains in the background and the gradients, and to be fair, it kind of looks like trash, but I guess that's not Adventure's fault.
Hey man, important stuff's happening, dude.
It's true.
Please don't do this! I beg you!
Bah! I don't listen to the words of a child. Ready, men? Charge!
Oh no.
Father!
Whoa.
Chao about to get knocked down.
Oh my god.
Greed. Greed never changes.
This is oh dear.
Oh, it's a monster!
You can say that again.
Remember that line.
Uh-oh.
Hey, are you all right?
I think so.
Yikes.
Oh my gosh!
Look up.
No, no, no!
So were we seeing
Wait up.
flash forwards instead of flashbacks? I'm trying to
No.
parse this out here.
This is the
The
past.
7 emeralds are the servers. Chaos is power.
This is how it all started,
Heart.
baby.
The controller serves to unify the chaos.
Why did you gasp?
The 7 emeralds can change our thoughts into power. If this emerald controls that power, please.
I don't know if you remember, but that, what the prayer to Cal just said, gets repeated in SA2 when Knuckles
Wake up!
tries to stop the Bio Lizard with the Emerald. Continuity. It used to exist.
Wow.
I was on a snooze cruise, I guess.
Snooze cruise. Whoa.
Oh yeah, that face.
You look distressed.
You just sort of conked out there.
That line gets cut off. Good thing you're okay.
Knuckles left already. Come! We gotta go after the last
I've
emerald.
exhausted all my
Lead the way.
these cutscenes are
If you stay on
janky
board the
jokes in
tornado
other
too.
episodes. I can't really. There's only so much you can harp on it until it gets old. I didn't listen to
This is the point where you just gotta accept it and move on.
Yeah, it's just part of the. We'll call it part of the charm.
In Sonic X, Knuckles joins Sonic in that flashback. You know, I haven't seen the Sonic X
Oh,
arc of that.
well, I guess we're playing Red Mountain again. That's nice.
Yeah, it's not to say we did. I did watch. I think I watched the SA2 Sonic X. I didn't really watch much Sonic X back in the day. I liked what they did with SA2, where they had that one dude that was like on the arc, and he's like, I don't want to talk about it anymore. And he ends up like spieling and giving out. Did you ever see that, Lou?
I haven't seen a lot of Sonic X.
I haven't either, but I did watch that just because I love SA2 and its story so much.
Did my hint lady go away? She did. Where am I going? I'm gonna guess meet up with Tails somewhere, but I didn't catch where he wanted me.
I think you're supposed to go back to Station Square.
Right, Station Square. Well, I mean, they did announce. I forget if the announcements for the train tie into like when
go
you're
to the
supposed
ruins.
to be there. The ruins.
Yeah.
Okay.
The jungle.
I know that part.
See, you just wanted to go there earlier.
See,
so
I'm so excited to get back to
Look,
my favorite Crash
tornado
plane here.
too.
Yeah, so let's get the Chaos Emerald and leave.
It won't be that easy, will it?
But wait.
No, he's got the last
Did he
emerald.
just straight up like water warp it?
Now what do we do?
Heck yeah.
Wow, man. This is
Now what do we do?
serious.
Dude, we need to find the guy that voiced Tails and like interview him on this show. He's probably like 30 now.
An adult now, yeah.
I
Considering
think he was in an episode of Veronica Mars. I looked this up.
What?
Yes, he
That's
is a
a-
very small part.
That's an interesting career path. Oh, here we go. I have seen this cutscene, and boy, does that look like.
I think he actually directed some short films or something. Like I looked him up on IMDb one time.
Yeah.
Corey or Connor Bringus. I can't remember which is which because his younger brother took over at SA2 because of puberty.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, baby. Let's freaking go, dude.
Oh,
Man.
This is how you know. I bet, like, if I was playing this when I was like 8 or 10, this would. Like,
This was
would
like
just
seeing-
smack you in the face with, you know, this is real now. Oh my god,
Dude, this was like seeing the Avengers in theaters for the first time when you raid.
Jesus, this is dramatic.
Heck yeah.
That was
I
serious.
miss this Sonic, dude. There are actual stakes. Oh, here he comes. Oh, baby. Freak yeah, dude.
You can tell they were just so. Well, that's dark guy eyeball. You can tell they were just super into this.
If I
It is.
wasn't
Yeah,
just
man.
dreaming, that monster is a real menace.
You think? Jeez, it just like
Eggman.
leveled this city in minutes.
Looks like he's
Yeah,
in
man.
chaos too.
That's what anger will do.
Barrier 2 was made because something like this could happen. You have defied your master, stupid beast. Now it must be destroyed.
Oh, this is awesome. He fails so hard here.
God, he's Godzilla.
Yeah, it's fucking Eggman.
Ooh, there. Oh, see you later.
No!
Whoa!
No way! I can't
There you
believe.
go. Yeah, I can't believe
I've
this.
had enough. Who do you think you are, anyway?
That was go time.
Oh, it's you. The
Ooh,
one
I love the way he says
who
his name,
sealed
her name.
chaos in the Master Emerald.
Wait a minute.
Tikal.
Huh.
Yeah.
Always been in the
They
Master
did have the same
Emerald
voice,
along
didn't
with Chaos's.
Mm-hmm. Big reveal.
Now he's filled with anger and sadness.
Not angry.
And if it goes on, he'll eventually destroy the world like he did before.
This is what happens when, like, tilapia breeding is left unchecked. They become like fish monsters.
Man. Have you ever wondered why there's none of the Echidna tribe left and why Knuckles is the last one? This is your answer.
That's deep, man. I'm getting depressed.
Look!
Heck yeah, man.
It's a
Gosh,
serious,
the
it's a
lore.
serious
He
story.
must be sealed in the Master Emerald now!
I missed this.
How can that help?
I will say though,
It won't change how he feels
Forces
inside, will it?
got the closest to this
His
we've
heart
had
will
in a
still
while.
remain in turmoil, and his anger
But it's not as
just won't
developed
vanish.
as this.
He'll
No.
just be trapped forever.
SA1 shows a lot more. Forces kind of tells, which is the
Yeah.
#1 rule in storytelling that you do not break.
Yes, absolutely. We should just start calling it story showing instead of storytelling. Just make
Yeah.
things easier.
Hey, Sonic!
Amy,
Everybody cheer him on.
Take this!
Oh gosh. I feel like a kid again.
Here we go.
hey guys, what's up?
Chaos only used the negative power of the emeralds. Sonic, you should be able to harness their real power.
As
That's
much as I
right.
hate to admit
Sounds
it,
good.
I
Good,
think
stronger than
Tails
evil,
is
let's
right
go.
about this.
Knuckles is just casually walking around with like 4 of them.
Go, Sonic!
And he's a treasure hunter.
Yeah, Sonic!
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 Negative forces aren't the only way to empower the Chaos Emeralds. Our positive feelings toward each other can make them work.
Cool.
Our hearts together form
Yeah.
awesome
True
power.
power of teamwork. Let's go. With our powers combined. Let's go,
Power
Captain.
of teamwork, friendship, bunch
Everything
of people chanting
good.
your name. I don't know.
Power of sugar, spice, and everything nice. Heck yeah, the power of Jun Sonoi's guitar. That's what it is.
And I guarantee you, they just thought like at Sonic Team, this was like the coolest damn reveal in the world.
I thought the same
All right,
thing.
this is the hypest shit I've seen all game. Let's go. Perfect chaos. It's time.
Remember, it's supersonic. Keep your rings up.
Keep the rings. No boost.
Charge rifle.
Right in his face. Lovely.
Dude,
And now there's like
Open your
stages to
heart.
this, right? This is like even I think I watched the Game Grumps where they beat this, and even they
Why?
were like, "This is balling. This is crazy."
heck yeah. Even those douches can't deny it.
It's true. There we go. Now
To
we're
the right.
In you go. Oh, this is good. Okay.
Yeah, dude. It's like the victory lap.
Yeah.
You're just so OP.
Go.
Man, Sonic Team used to know how to end the game, man.
Some serious stuff. You're talking about stakes. You're talking about
Oh yeah.
stuff of consequence. Oh man, the water like pouring into the buildings. This would, well, they kind of did give it the remake love treatment in Generations, sort of.
Yeah,
The environment's just cool. I do
you know it.
All right, more.
You know, like they saved development time in advance for this. This wasn't a
absolutely.
last
This
minute.
was the end goal for like the whole project. They had it.
Yeah.
Because
Like,
like,
I'd
they're
say
just
they
messing with like the transparency effects and chaos, and they just know. You know, they were like, "Oh, this is gonna be so great."
Like they made this first and then made the rest of the game afterwards.
I would not be surprised. So far, it's like one of the cleanest bits of the game. Boop. One more, maybe.
I think so.
We're just gonna like drop in and out of this.
Yeah. Yeah. It's not hard, but baby is it awesome.
I do kind of wish that they kept Open Your Heart going through the whole thing
Yeah, I do too.
instead of
The
whatever's
orchestral
happening
thing,
right
whatever.
now. Yeah. I mean,
Or at least have a smoother transition.
I'm all for the orchestral stuff, you know me, but
Yeah.
not it. Do we have enough speed? No! Oh, come on.
Rejected.
We like
They should have
cycle
just-
different parts of the level, or
Katamari says they should have just made the entire game this boss fight.
you know what? I mean, but you got to kind of build to the payoff, right? You can't
Oh
just
yeah, yeah.
throw
Like
in
this
the good
means
stuff right away and be like, man,
The
we did it,
reason-
guys.
the reason this is so awesome is because of it's been headed towards this the whole time.
If I get hit, it feels
Oh,
like I
come
just
on.
can't build up the speed that I need to to get there. Because I'm just... All you can do is hold up, right? There's no, like, spin dash. There's no boost. There's nothing like that.
Yeah.
So, yeah, if I
You
get
just have
hit,
to avoid.
yeah, too close to him, then it's just not happening.
It's like Doomsday Zone, you know?
Yeah.
You just gotta really anticipate them coming. There you go.
That. And we're good. Boom.
Open your freaking heart. Look at that
Open your heart.
explosion.
Oh, man. There it is, folks, I think. That's it, right?
Yeah.
Hey, I'll
You
play
know
with
it.
you some other time.
I really wish... He just said, hey, I'll play with you some other time, right?
Yeah.
I really wish in Generations, when you beat the level,
He said,
he would have said,
"Hey,
like,
play
see,
with
I
some
told you, or something.
Told you I'd be back. Aw, now he's little.
Yeah.
It's very, you always, I mean,
The Chao got cuter in SA2.
it's a very notable sound, I guess.
Primary
Chaos has
colors
changed
for the
again.
win.
This time for the better.
Yeah! Supersonic must have neutralized it, so it's nice again.
Yay. Happy ending.
These are the Chao you were protecting.
Aw.
They stayed alive for generations and now live peacefully with humans.
Cool.
The fighting's over, harmony's restored, and life goes on.
Well, they all just look
Thank you so
perfectly happy and
much.
content. Oh, you're welcome. It's like they're talking to me, though.
Dude, yeah. That shot. It's time to ascend into the heavens, boy.
It's time to just become a
Move
god
on.
again.
Dude, the cow's so cool, man.
They certainly give her enough of a mythical feel.
Dude, yeah. Man. I played with her a lot in SA2's multiplayer. She's just really cool.
They're all just kind of mesmerized by the whole thing. Okay,
Heck
so
yeah,
where
dude.
were you the whole time?
Licking his wounds.
Yes,
You know you can't resist that, Sonic.
pouting.
Can't resist that Eggman.
All's well that ends well, right?
Or is that where he dashes off to here?
Sonic?
And then the city took decades to rebuild itself. And there's your game,
Yeah,
folks!
baby!
Sonic Adventure. We're done. That took months and months.
Oh, that's such a... Okay, dude. That's a great ending.
Oh,
That's such a good ending.
I like that. Oh, God. All right. Well, we got a lot to talk about, don't we? So I told you last time we played that this episode would be our big finale and the post-mortem for Sonic Adventure, now that all is said and done. So we're going to go ahead and get into it. So what to talk about? Where to begin? Lots to discuss. Let's see. We'll start with its sort of primary hook, right? Which is its kind of big open design and its 6 playable characters. 7 technically. So I think there's definitely degrees to which the gameplay works for each character and how the whole thing kind of melds together. Some characters definitely work better than others. I think from what I can remember of SA2, it did a better job of balancing out the different kinds of gameplay across who you played as. Because for my
SA2
money,
really cut the fat.
having played through this, there are some characters in here that are real clunkers. Primarily, I think Amy and Big are probably the biggest ones. Where I wasn't feeling it, right? And I'm gonna try to remember why, because it was, we played that.
Well, I don't think you have to remember why you weren't feeling big.
Yeah, I mean
It's
now
a fishing game.
big fishing adventure. In its defense, weirdly, it's not as like drop dead awful as some people would have you believe, but it's also just so out of place. Like, I mean,
it's just boring, a pace killer, and not really that fun.
That says it perfectly. And I'm just gonna say meme shit 1 says Amy is too damn slow. That's also true. Now, to some degree, it kind of balances out because it's sometimes, you know, when I'm Sonic, I'm just running really fast and running into something that just cuts all my momentum right away, and that has its own issues, I guess. But yeah, Amy's slow. I felt like her controls were also kind of sticky and didn't feel very good in practice.
That's weird. I really liked Amy. She felt like just a classic third-person platformer, and I really liked her. I really liked her, like the vibe and the story and the her personality coming through. But
I don't know. It just felt a little.
What do I know?
What do any of us know? We're just people, man. Let me think.
I don't know. I'm just a blind adventure fanboy. That's all I am.
There was also, just to be a dick, I guess, I tried to like time out how much of either Amy or E123's story was actual gameplay versus cutscenes, and I think in Amy's case there was one stage toward the end that really jacked up the count, but going into it there was maybe, I'm gonna say I'd have to find the paper, but 2, 3, 4 minutes of gameplay total, like actual in-stage gameplay. I'm trying to find it, I can't. But it was way outweighed by like cutscenes and adventure field stuff. So the actual moment-to-moment action stages, Amy's in them for like, you can count the minutes on one hand prior to the final stage, which is a problem for some characters more than others, I guess, if you consider that a problem. I mean, there's so much other stuff going on around the action stages that maybe it balances out, but it's definitely not evenly dispersed. We'll put it that way. What else?
What did you think of Gamma?
Gamma. The fight?
What?
The fight or the character? Have I been referring to him as Omega this whole time?
Yeah, I don't know. Playing as Gamma.
Okay. I don't remember too much about it, so I couldn't have felt too strongly about it one way or the other.
You're shooting stuff.
He shoots
it's basically
stuff,
mech tails with smoother controls.
Yeah, you're right. Fine. I think that was probably one of the ones I enjoyed a little more. I think if I remember correctly, let me try to break them down and remind myself of what all of them actually were. So
Fun fact on Gamma.
Yeah.
Gamma exists, I read, because Sonic Team kept getting like letters of like, we want a like Sonic game with like shooting in it. Like, we want some shooting, is what fans were saying. And Sonic Team's like, well, it'd be really stupid to give a hedgehog a gun, so they created Gamma. If only, I really wish that comment didn't age
and
so
then they turned around like 6 years later and made
Shadow the Hedgehog. In the same way that Sonic was originally going to have a human girlfriend in Sonic 1, and they were like, no, that's just stupid. And then they turned right back around.
They didn't have like the American PR management team trying to cut down on those more interesting ideas.
Yeah.
So it just all kind of happened.
So basically, Sonic Team has like self-control, and then they just give in.
Yeah.
Like they've probably said for years, man, people really want their OCs in this game. They keep sending us letters, but we're not going to do that. Sonic Forces.
And then whoops. What do people want? Oh, what do we have? Realm Dragon King Song says Amy, Sonic, and Gamma's final bosses were fun. Were they?
Dude,
I have to go back and look up what all of these actually were, because I don't remember.
Dude, how can you talk about Gamma and not talk about how cool the story is, man? It's separate from everything else, pretty much, but... It
is kind of its own thing, and that I did sort of appreciate. So when you have these 6 overlapping characters...
It's really somber.
Jumping through... Yeah, it's a little, it's a little more, I'm going to say, gritted teeth than the rest of the narrative is.
Like, he kills himself at the end to set himself free to be with his family again, because Amy helps him realize his consciousness is an animal deep inside. Wow. Like, that's some cool stuff.
So I'm trying to think about the boss fights now. I can't again, I can't remember them all except for the more recent ones because there's a lot of game and it's
They're-
been a while.
They're all Chaos 6. Like, half the boss fights are Chaos 6.
Half of them are Chaos 6. I will say the one on the lily pads, I think that's Chaos 4,
Yeah.
is probably one of the worst ones, just because of how sticky the physics are of jumping around the lily pads and working in the water.
Yeah, why is the water made out of, like, syrup in that?
I really wish I knew.
Like, you just slowly sink like
Look at
this.
them flopping around here. So let's talk about the overall sort of structure of how the game plays out. So there's, like I said, the 6 overlapping characters, each with their own arc that more or less fits into the rest of the story. And it results in you sort of visiting these same environments repeatedly with at least the adventure stages, with all the different characters to see the story from different perspectives.
Pretty ballsy at the time.
Yeah, I mean, I can definitely tell, and it doesn't help that I think I have, like, I have no historical pretext for this. I just kind of come at it with, more modern games in mind, and then you just kind of pick at it. But I can see how, it's really kind of gunning for something more ambitious, right? It wants to tell this big, huge story that crisscrosses across a bunch of different characters, and, you have these shared environments where everyone kind of exists and runs around and does their own stuff in time, and certain characters overlap with others, and it's a cool idea. I think what, more than anything else, it kind of falls victim to is just that it hasn't aged so well, and I feel like we've talked about this before, but you kind of feel like the Sonic Adventure quirk is just like pervades this game with like the mouth movements and the jankiness of the cutscenes. And again, it really feels repetitive talking about it because we've just done it to death, I guess. I'd really be curious to see what this stuff looked like if they polished up the script a little bit, if they gave it more modern production values, if they gave it mouth movements that made sense. You know what I mean?
Yeah, if they remade it, like I wrote a whole article about wanting. Yeah, so can you, I mean, yeah, like you said, you're approaching it from 2017. So, but if you can think of it as, like in its time, in its historical context, when Uncharted 4 didn't exist, or whatever, and was many years away, can you see focusing more on the soul of this game, can you see why it's such a monumental game in the franchise, why so many people have heart for it and love for it?
Yeah, it's it seemed to be sort of a really distinct entity at the time, right? Like this shit was selling Dreamcasts, right?
Dude, yeah.
So I get the ambition, I get that it really took the franchise in a direction that no one really had seen coming, and it was great considering you really hadn't heard from mainstream Sonic since the Genesis. So
yeah,
I get that the hype was real, right? And it's curious because maybe this will work out a little better if you kind of like steer through and ask about different parts of this game and me kind of giving thoughts on it relative to that, because I can't remember everything off the top of my head. But yeah, I think one of the like, look at this. One of the biggest quote-unquote roadblocks from my perspective for someone playing it today who's never done it before, which has to be kind of a smaller group of people, especially like among us, watching this stream right now.
Yeah.
It can be tough at times to just look past how janky the whole affair sort of is. It's not as like crazy bug-ridden as some later entries in the series. I would play this over something like Heroes any goddamn day. Like that's
it's definitely of its time. You know what I mean?
Oh sure.
It's not like
but the weird thing is, it's not like a terribly buggy or like mechanically unsound product like I would argue Heroes is, for example, or like Shadow or Psycho 6 or any of those like what I consider lower tier games. Like it all works well enough. There are some hitches here and there. We were talking about Skydeck before this started. For those of you that remember, last stream we had some real issues on Sonic's episode of Skydeck, the action stage. But it's a fun game. I'm not going to argue that. It's just there's a lot of extra stuff around. Like if you're only here for the action stages, if you're only here for like Sonic and Tails running through stuff, then you're not going to have as good a time. You have to, I think, be a little more willing to accept the extra frills like this.
Yeah. Can can you see what? I mean, one thing I would like to point out is just like this is like a year like after like Ocarina of Time, and this and this is a game with complete voice acting for all of its characters and a much heavier story than something like that. To think of it that close.
And yeah, I guess again, to be fair, like, if you think about games of that era, like the late '90s, early 2000s, voice acting balls across the board. Like Castlevania Symphony of the Night is like a joke to look at now. The first couple Resident Evils are just laughable.
Mega Man 8, dude.
Mega Man 8. Oh my god, Mega Man 8. So it's not. It's not Sonic Adventure's fault. But it is very much a product of its time.
When you put it in that perspective. With all these horrible games we just named off, there's actually some really good voice acting in this game.
Relative
if you're comparing it to relative to those,
Sure,
yeah. Like I think Robotnik shines in so many spots, when he's properly directed. Because the weird thing is sometimes it doesn't feel like the actor was giving the context of what was happening.
Yeah. Which
and
again, they didn't really have top tier sort of voice directors as we would today, because it was still sort of an undeveloped art form at the time. So you're not going to
having this much voice acting was crazy.
Yeah, it was basically who around the studio is in the recording booth that day and can tell Ryan Drummond, this is what's going on when you say this.
Right, yeah. It wasn't until SA2 that I think they got a dedicated director who stayed for Heroes.
No, Lenobre, I said Symphony of the Night's voice acting is kind of a joke. What is a man?
Nasty little pile of secrets.
Have at you!
The thing that makes that part so great is that Dracula is like overacting to his extreme, and the Belmont is like underacting beyond belief.
Yeah, there's just no voice director to keep the whole thing in check.
So think about Ocarina of Time, to bring it back to that, which is heralded as one of the greatest games of all time, and that Carpenter guy that does this.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think part of what comes into play with stuff like that, like we're gonna look at like Mario 64, Ocarina of Time, or those like ridiculous classics that the populace at large say have held up much better. It's part of that I think boils down to how their core gameplay loop holds up, because you go back and play, Mario 64, for example, not a one-to-one comparison, but it's still, like, those controls are still pretty solid for the time. The camera's not good, it has its own problems, but that core 30 seconds of just jumping on stuff and
it's a little more
hitting enemies and things, it's refined to a T. It all still works, and that game will be fun forever because of that. Sonic Adventure, at least in points, it feels a little unrefined, unpolished. The mechanics aren't 100% all the time.
It's a little more inaccessible in 2017.
And it's again, I'm going to say jank.
Yeah, there's a certain degree of jank to it. I think, though, it also doesn't help that Sonic Adventures and Sonic Adventure 2, that the games, that 3D Sonic games that came after it, didn't necessarily get better. They got worse, which make people, I've talked about this before, you're more likely to forgive the flaws in 64 because you know that Sunshine exists and that Galaxy exists, and then it kept getting better. This general zeitgeist allows you to be more forgiving.
Right.
Where, you look at Sonic Adventure and you're like, this and SA2 are like the height of of the Adventure series.
I think almost objectively, more playable and more well put together and more book end to end fun than something like Heroes or 06 or I don't know, anything of that ilk.
Yeah.
And so I can understand sort of the reluctance to get back to this sort of game, because it is, so many people look at it as, just the catalyst of all those trashy ones that people dump on all the time.
You must have your reasons.
But that's the question I was going to ask. Can you see why, put yourself in that and think of the spirit of this, can you see why people often say they just want Sega to go back to the adventure game? They're not wanting weird lip flaps and all this stuff.
Because they're, mechanically at least, they're the quote-unquote good. Much more well-received good 3D.
Yeah, because you think about it, the mechanics are janky, but they weren't janky for 1998. We don't literally want a game that plays
we don't
exactly
want,
like this in 2017.
Adventure again.
We want the game that has the ideas of this,
Right.
just with
And
contemporary
cleans it all up.
production.
Yeah. It's almost like, and it's really now more clear, now that I have this piece in, how they kind of took this foundation and kind of sanded down the rough edges for SA2.
Yeah, SA2
Which-
is the fat cut out and
Which is
streamlined.
definitely the better game of the two.
Yeah.
But that's neither here nor there. Let's talk about. I do
Oh,
have.
SA2 is always here.
I would like to play. I think one of the next ones up on the stream next year, guys, we're gonna do is SA2. So get ready for that. That'll be fun. It's
Best
about
game.
time we did SA2. That's the big one, right? So there are gripes with Adventure. So let's get into a couple of those. At least from what I experienced. So you were talking about trimming some of the fat, and I think it's kind of fair to say that SA1 is kind of bloated as a game.
The problem is that Sonic Team had the double task of bringing Sonic, actually the triple task of making a good game, bringing Sonic into the third dimension, which isn't easy, and selling some units, because Sega is still first party at this point. So it's like, I don't know, what can we do?
So it needs to look like a big,
fishing.
impressive product to start pushing the units, and that means that, you know, and Sonic's kind of always had this problem, right? If you stick to that core loop of going fast and, you know, the Sonic stuff, you end up with a really short game, because the stages are never very long, so unless you have like 50 of them, which is a little impractical, you gotta do other stuff to make the game a little more complete, so what do? Different
You just
sort of
make more
gameplay
Sonic
styles.
stages, but apparently not.
I mean, I would love it if they just did that. but-
I don't understand why that's so hard.
So we have 6 characters in this game, count them 6. And it sort of gives rise to that ilk of, oh my god, Sonic and all his friends and all this crap I don't care about, just let me, like, play the game, right? Because there's so many different camps of people who are like, oh, I want, you know, all the big fancy story stuff, I want all the multiple characters, oh, well, I just want to play Sonic and I want to go fast and just give me, I don't know, colors forever. You're never going to reconcile that, and you're never going to win, and someone's always going to be angry, but getting back to the point, there's a lot of cruft in SA1, I think. So, like I said, not all of those 6 playable characters are winners. I think Sonic and Tails are both solid overall. They're good campaigns. They're long enough. The stories are meaty. Knuckles isn't as rewarding gameplay-wise because you're just kind of hunting for the Emerald Shards, right? Still fun, still functional, one of the better characters. Gamma, I think the shooting works well enough. I remember not loathing Gammas, and the story's a little more...
Gamma's
dense. Amy and Big, I think, are the big drag points. You could axe them entirely, cut all their story, cut all that ridiculous crap as much as you can to keep the rest of it intact, and I would be happy. I mean, you're losing maybe, what, an hour and a half of game time from that? Because they're the shortest campaigns in the game.
Testing 1, 2, 3.
So they're not super hot. What's left is
Egg carrier crew are here.
sort of the nitty-gritty of how each character works. So what I found, I think it was really a problem with Big, and is also a problem with, I guess, Sonic to some extent.
It's a tailed frog.
Stuff gets really sticky in SA1. I forget if it's the same deal with SA2, but if you're walking on sort of uneven terrain and there's like sidewalk lips you go up, or you're kind of running at speed and you bump into something, it just kind of
And you're just
grinds
like
you to a
that.
halt, and you're always just sort of in that real slow momentum build up where you're trying to get back to speed and you keep bumping into stuff, and
We haven't got time.
it feels,
Come to attention.
especially with Big, I think that you're just kind of like fighting to just keep momentum going and keep progressing through the game, and you just keep getting caught up on everything. Maybe I'm bad at it, I don't know. That's kind of a problem.
So, I want to ask you about just Sonic in general.
Okay.
Like, just focus on him. What do you think of the Sonic stages?
Okay.
Or, like, how Sonic plays?
Yeah. Overall, I like them. I think if there were, again, a more polished take on those kinds of stages, maybe with a more polished camera, and again, just sort of ironing out the rough edges, it would be great. I have no doubt that would be great. And people would probably appreciate that it opens up levels more, and you can do more running around, and you're not just, you know, forces.
Yeah.
Does it
feel good to
gameplay
actually
as far
be
as
in control of your character and not just, you know, pushing a button and then instant top speed?
Yeah, I think each approach has its own merit, I guess. With this, it feels a little
Adventure
more...
just has more merit.
I think it does give it a little more sort of like
control.
a deeper game feel. How about that? You're more in control. There's more to explore. There's more to do. It's not just, you know, you're on the track playing through it. My gripe with it as it is, Drake's Cove, I'm gonna have to ask you to not. He's like, Big is the best character.
Froggy.
See, again, my problem with the Sonic stages is just sort of that he seems to get hung up on stuff a lot. That when you get punched back down to low speed, it kind of takes you a little bit to get going, which isn't a problem, but I just feel like I get caught on so much stuff. When you're running around a corner, just something's randomly there, and then all of a sudden, boop, and then you get stuck on something else, and it takes you a while to get that going.
I think the only thing I can think of is that comes to mind is the janky snake in Mystic Ruins.
Yeah, that was
or Lost World.
I'm trying to think of actual points in the Sonic campaign that I was really just, this is trash. The Skydeck stuff, I couldn't believe that was as broken as it was. The snake in Lost World wasn't great. And to be fair, I struggled just to figure out what was happening there for like the first life or two. Which is my fault, which is fine. I'm trying to think what I was really into. Was it Ice Cap?
Dude, yeah.
He gets on the snowboard in Ice Cap, right?
Dude, yeah. How awesome was that?
That was balls out. That was crazy. Look.
It's like some saxophone playing. It's like
that was
Sonic get back to his Bill Clinton roots.
That was intense. I really like that. So it's those moments where you're sort of relatively uninhibited, where you're either doing the more precise platforming and doing homing attack-based stuff, or you're running around in a more open field, like in Emerald Coast or in the earlier stages, the Snowboard stuff and Ice Cap, where it feels best because you're not getting hung up on random stuff that you can't see or you keep bumping into. You're just kind of free to dictate the pace and go at your leisure. And the less stuff the game puts in your way, I found, and this is again the case with most Sonic games, the better it is. So the later stages, once you start doing stuff on the janky snake and Skydeck's controls stop working and you phase through stuff, it's that's no good. When it, and this is Sonic in general, when it keeps things simple and it doesn't throw, you know, warmed over gimmicks that don't work all the time in your way, then it's plus. It's just kind of how.
What did you think of the bumper cars in Twilight, the Twinkle Park?
They kind of reminded me of sort of like the vehicle bits in Heroes and Generations where you're in the car. I think they were good. Again, I don't have too many strong opinions on them. Yeah, they were fine.
Nice.
Again, because the mechanics are sound and it works and it's fun and I can.
You're not flying off the edges like in the Forces water slide.
Yeah, so that was fine. And again, that's sort of breaking the pace of the gameplay up with a different gimmick or mechanic that's polished and works. That's not, you know, the controls.
Go straight into a roller coaster.
Yeah, so that's fine. You can do that all you want.
Yeah.
What else? Throw more at me.
Okay. Can you? So you've played 06?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, man, it sucks that you can't imagine that you don't know what it's like to see the Orchid Chase in Adventure for the first time and have no idea it's coming.
It was bonkers.
This is nuts. First, it's good. Like, you just see him fly over you in the bridge. You're like, what the heck? Is that an orca? And then, oh my gosh, Shamu is angry. And yeah, so that's a thing. Gosh, man, it's such a cool moment at the time to see that.
Oh, what else? Is Skydeck also the stage where you have the big poles that Sonic swings around? And there's like little narrow pathways that the robots can shoot out.
What's up, Knuckles?
It's not Final Egg. I think that's Skydeck.
The big cannons and
Yeah.
yeah,
Something
where it
Yeah,
goes
that's
like
Skydeck, too.
side perspective at one point, like side scrolling kind of.
Yeah. Oh man, Skydeck's just a
Give me the
mess.
emerald you have right now.
Because
Yeah,
I
they'll
also
say
had
this, though.
like huge camera problems
What?
in those bits
Let's
of
just
Skydeck.
see you
At
take
least the
it.
earlier portions. Ugh. So that's again, that's just the rough edges of Adventureware. If they were to iron that out.
Did you not like Final Egg?
Final Egg. Final Egg was fine. I think I liked it more than the couple
Skydeck.
preceding it for sure.
Sonic, wait up!
Yeah.
No real issues there.
Long time no see.
What about Red Mountain? That's a dope soundtrack.
Yeah, Red
You
Mountain was
know
cool.
it.
Again,
Anyway.
that's more of like a satisfying
Listen,
platformer.
this birdie seems to be in
There's a lot of
trouble, so you
the
need
homing
to be
attack
its
stuff in the
bodyguard
beginning,
for a
and then you
while.
go into the cave, and it gets a little
must be
faster, and you do the
kidding.
lava stuff. And that basically, and like, it's amazing now that I look at this, how much, and I think I said this before, how much Sonic 06 just rips this game off and does it a million times worse.
Yeah.
Because
Okay,
there's bits in
awesome.
Sonic 06 and its lava level, Lava Mountain or whatever it's called, where it felt just like the inside of Red Mountain, but like 80 times worse.
Yeah. So what is it like having played Generations to go back and play Speed Highway, the original?
That was cool.
Kind of reverse.
Yeah, that was cool.
Because for most of us, you know, we played the original and then saw the new one. We're like, oh, okay.
Right. So
What
you
is
had
it
the
like
whole,
doing the
run down
opposite?
building. It's kind of nice to see where it comes from, right? And I mean, this is, I'm guessing how like younger kids are gonna feel when they go back to these games after playing things like Generations and all that.
Testing 1, 2,
It's
3.
cool to kind of see, warts and all, what all that stuff was based on, and you can kind of get an appreciation for how much people were getting into it back then, like we were talking about earlier.
Yeah. I think it's kind of interesting how, you know, how positive you are of that. And that's because it kind of goes into what I was saying earlier, to where, like, you're more likely to forgive the flaws of Mario 64 because of Sunshine and yada, yada, yada.
Right.
You know, when you play old Speed Highway, you know what they were wanting it to look like, which is how Generation looks.
Yeah.
And you can just, I don't know, feel like you can appreciate it more that
and
way.
that's also helpful because, again, you have a good basis of comparison in the later version of it. As opposed to, like, if for some reason, like, Galaxy was bananas, then you're not going to necessarily look back on 64 as well.
Right, yeah. Because Galaxy had that throwback Galaxy, which was the first, or the second stage from
Yeah,
from
Womp
64.
Fortress, yeah. Which
Yeah,
was,
Womp Fortress.
that was a time when I probably a similar feeling. Like Mario 64 was my jam growing up. I was like 5 when it came out. It was one of the first games I ever played. So that whole thing's just blowing my mind start to finish. I'm like, oh my god, I can control this guy, and there's a pirate ship. There's an eel. Oh my god, it's a real eel. And then you go to Galaxy 2, it's in, and then you go to the Throwback Galaxy, and it's Womp Fortress, and it starts up with a song, and I'm like, you gotta be kidding. This is the greatest thing ever.
Yeah.
So
I want you
get
to,
it.
that whatever you just tapped in, imagine that for adventure,
Oh,
because
I
that's
can
what we're
I can absolutely see it, and I'm not, here to shit on it at all, because,
Yeah.
like I said, having played almost all of them at this point, and I clearly kind of get how there's Adventure and Adventure 2 on like the high tier of the 3D games, and then there's like those era of games, and there's like everything else from like after Adventure 2 to Unleashed that's just not.
I like to think of it as like the adventure games are a very important part of Sonic's history. I think of it's like, have you ever seen the cross section of like a tree, or like trees cut down, and you can like see the rings in the tree, you know, and each ring represents a year of the tree's life or whatever. And it's like, you know, every ring is important, you know, and you can't like take one of those rings away. And Sonic Adventure 1 and 2 are definitely a ring that could have only happened in the time that they happened, but they're important to the history. And for those who were there that year in that, it was freaking awesome. And I don't think, and I'm not saying you are, I know you're not, but I don't like that some people like to go and try to devalue that ring, as if to say, like, if you take away that ring, the whole thing falls apart, and, you know.
Yeah.
that is an important part. If Sonic is a tree, that is a very important ring in his life cycle.
Right.
These adventure games.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, definitely. And I'm looking at some of the comments here. Some of them are talking about the Sonic's final boss fight, not Perfect Chaos, the Eggman.
Oh, dude. Watch out. He's up to something.
Yeah.
Cool. That's so cool.
Get a load of this!
Like, you think it's over.
Yeah. Oh,
just one last...
That got me once, and I mean, to be fair, I hate fights that do that, where they'll just kind of snap your fingers on something you don't expect, and you're just immediately dead.
Well, she straight up, like, told you.
Yeah. Well, it doesn't mean you can predict what's going to happen next, but it's like, it's kind of like Sonic 4 F1 when you're finished with the not Sonic 2 final boss, and it just randomly, like, shoots up and hits the floor, and if you're not super fast on the homing attack, you just die. It's over. They're not so fun. I did get the hang of it eventually, and it wasn't that bad, but...
Yeah, see, it's little things like that that I like about Adventure. There was just, you can tell, there was always an extra mile that they went, you know?
Oh, I will say, also, those, the flying with tails minigame bits of it can also go jump in a lake.
Oh, you don't like those?
They are no fun.
They're better than Unleashed. Press the button that shows up on the missile. What is that crap?
By default, because they're actual gameplay, I guess.
Because you can actually move your freaking character with your analog stick.
Yeah, and Unleashed it's worse. Now, I guess to be fair, I don't like that in any Sonic game, so just stop it. But I don't know.
Why didn't you like that in? Why didn't you like the flying sections?
Oh, in this?
Yeah.
It just kind of felt sort of bland and a little undercooked. You know, like the controls are super slippery. Like he just shoots off whenever I touch the stick, which again maybe just be maybe it's a problem with DX. This is the only version I played. It just kind of there's no real. I'm not gonna say stakes, but they're not particularly hard. You just kind of hold the button down, let it go every now and again, and you win eventually, unless you're like actively trying to lose. It's just they're just kind of there. They don't add anything, in my opinion.
Man, I'll tell you one thing. When I'm watching this, watching you play this game, is that it made me miss Sonic. Because I don't think this Sonic exists anymore.
Oh god.
And it's really unfortunate. Man, I don't know what the deal is.
Hasn't for a long time.
Is Yuji Naka just some madman? Do we just need him back? Is that the thing? What is?
Well, now see, here's the deal with it too, and I'm gonna double back to some comments in a minute. There's the impetus is gonna be if you're gonna do another game like this, you have to iron out those rough edges, and it can't be something on the level of Lost World or Forces or something where it's just even this where there's just obvious noticeable flaws that are just dragging it down left and right. It's you gotta have it on the level of something like Colors of Generations, where it's polished, where people can appreciate the story, where the core gameplay loop is tight and works, and the level design is there. It's gotta all come into place. Otherwise, people are gonna like eviscerate whatever comes next out of this. So you gotta watch it. I can understand their sort of reluctance to undertake the project because maybe they don't want to make another one. That's fine if they were to. I'm sure someone at Sonic Team or SEGA has to have an appreciation of if they don't like knock it out of the park and make it like their best game ever, people are gonna want it.
Amy.
Yeah, but so just don't call it Adventure. Just call it something else. Save yourself the trouble. Just make the stinking game already, man.
Yeah. Well, then
I don't know.
Any of the other ones?
Could we get another adventure game? How about a Werehog? Okay, can we get another adventure game? What about little colored aliens? Okay, that's fine, but could we get another adventure game? Hey, here's Speed Highway and the Perfect Chaos fight. Oh, and here's a bunch of classic Sonic stages and a bunch of rehashes and whatever. Oh, okay, that was cool. That's fun. But could we get another Adventure 3? What if the stage was a tube?
What if we make Mario Galaxy but worse?
Can we just have Sonic Adventure 3? Okay, this one, you get to make your own character. Oh my gosh, is it that hard?
It's apparently that hard. And
what I understand is Iizuka was the director for both adventure games.
yeah.
Like, I feel like if anyone should, or maybe not, but I feel like if anyone should have the passion for it, it's the freaking director
You would think.
of these two games, you know?
Yeah. He's probably done interviews on
It's
the
actually
topic, 'cause
worth
no one
pointing
shut
out.
up about it, but
It's a tailed frog.
Oh yeah, dude, we have a new one, like, every week.
yeah.
It's important to mention a comment. Somebody says that I wouldn't mind Iizuka. I don't think Iizuka is responsible for a lot of nonsense that some people think, because he's basically just a figurehead. This is a very good thing to point out, because, you know, Iizuka takes the fall for everything, and everybody goes, man, Iizuka doesn't know what he's doing. And I'm like, man, maybe he doesn't, or whatever, but at the end of the day, you know, he's one man. He's just the face that you have, so he's the face that you hate, because it's the only face you can hate to know, or whatever. And yeah, someone mentions I'd like to see Iizuka direct another game. Yeah, he hasn't directed one forever. I feel like he's kind of weirdly
it shields the rest of their
moving.
their poor team from the vitriol that comes from from all of us about this stuff. So
yeah.
maybe that's okay. I wonder sometimes, do they know, like, does Sonic Team know that so many of, like, the core people who continuously buy these games just, like, so aggressively hate the stuff they put so much work into? Like, that's got, if they do know, that's got to weigh on them to some degree, right?
I don't know. Yeah, I don't understand the disconnect. It's kind of weird.
But what?
I mean, every fan convention that Iizuka goes to, somebody starts cheering for SA3 at some point.
Yeah.
And he just smiles and says, "Okay." Like, is there just like?
Of course they know.
Yeah.
But
so I just want to know what the thing is.
They just gotta also understand that that's going to be like the undertaking to end them all. So I mean.
Again, just don't call it Adventure 3, and you save yourself everything.
Yes. What else can we talk about here? We're getting a little off track.
No, man.
Summing
It's
up
always on track.
Always, we're always on track. We got
Dude.
this right all the time.
So,
What
I
else
guess, yeah, how about that ending, man?
I love the ending. I appreciate that they put more effort into the quote-unquote last story than...
Yeah. So you gotta understand how disappointing it is for me to play something like Sonic Lost World, where the final boss is just like, that's it? Because the precedent I had from a child was Sonic 3 and Knuckles, my first game, where you have Doomsday Zone, where you're flying in freaking space, you know, and then Adventure, where the freaking whole world floods, or Adventure 2, where again, you're flying in freaking space. Or how cool, you know, what I'm made of is playing over Metal Overlord, where you're fighting in the sky against this crazy Metal Sonic, and then like Lost World, your normal Sonic auto-running on a boss fight that isn't even hard. You know, it's quite sad.
I mean, and to be fair, the final bosses in most of the more modern games have been thoroughly lacking.
Yeah,
but the more
because the precedent was here.
Yeah, the more I'm looking at this, there's those cuts of Sonic looking at the camera and smiling in the pre-rendered. It really brings to mind just how much like Sonic 06 wanted to be this again, and just completely like threw the whole thing out the window because of all the plague that game was surrounded by.
You think 06 ruined
Perfect
it?
example. Like, you're talking about the slightly more substantial final story. Look at 06. 06 tried it with End of the World, right? You have the more substantial end game content where, you know, whole world's falling apart. You know, you actually go back through all of the stages with each of the characters you played as to get the Chaos Emeralds again and start this whole thing. The idea's not bad. Like, the core of it is there somewhere. It's just smothered under the rest of those game's problems. But it's the same setup, right? Some form of gameplay, some raising of the stakes, some substantial content, big supersonic boss fight, game's done.
Yeah.
It's weird, and that's the weird thing. Like, if there's any big takeaway that I'm getting from playing SA1 like this thoroughly, it's how closely I think Sonic 06 wanted to be that and just like jaw-droppingly missed. It's like, instead of hitting, like, you're going for a grand slam, right? But instead of a grand slam, you completely miss the ball, the bat flies out of your hands and like hits a 3-year-old in the stands. You fall down, you dislocate your knee, and you never play baseball again. That's basically what's
never changed, Lou.
It's, I mean, it's weird. It's weird how that works. Anyway.
Oh my gosh. I shouldn't have leaned forward. You really see my receding hairline when I do that. What else can we talk about?
What are we talking about? Presentation, graphics, music. We haven't talked about that.
Okay,
So,
I think you've been talking about the presentation this whole time.
no, I mean like the overall sort of art direction. So not just like the jank in the cutscenes and all that. We were mentioning this before, and I think it might have been Ryan who posted something like this on Twitter. I'm led to understand that in its initial incarnation on the Dreamcast, it's a lot more atmospheric than it is here. There's better shading work. The draw
things look a little
is
plastic,
more managed. Yeah, here it really sort of just doesn't look super great. But I'm told that in the Dreamcast version, and from what I've seen, it presents itself a lot better, which is good, because I think the overall art direction for this is not bad. You have some, shot at making a relatively more realistic world, but it's not like super off the deep end that, 06 goes for. It's, the environments are nice and varied. You get fun 3D takes on a lot of the fun tropes, like you get a casino level, you get Ice Cap, you get, a nice beachy Emerald Coast theme. It's presented nicely, I think.
Bugging you?
But that's never really been Sonic's problem.
Dude, yeah, Forces looks amazing.
Just there's nothing interesting about Forces environments, but that's a separate game.
Whoa. I have to stop you there. There's nothing interesting about those environments?
In Forces?
Dude, those are very detailed. Like the
background. No, I mean in terms of like the overall trope of it, right? So if we think about it, they're not super interesting. It's Green Hill again. It's Chemical Plant again.
Sonic,
it's Casino Forest, which is whatever. It's Metropolis.
I thought Metropolis was cool. Whatever. So back to Adventure. Sorry.
It's like it's F-Zero, right? It was basically like Big Blue.
Listen,
Get back to Adventure. Music. We didn't talk about music or sound too much. Soundtrack's really good. I think,
absolutely.
And again, kind of coming at it with the non-biased eye, because I know there are certain people out there. Certain people, I don't know any of them, who just love this style of the Sonic music. And to emphasize that point, if they were ever to do something like this again, I think it would kind of need to be a little more skewed toward this than the more modern takes on the Sonic soundtracks. But it's good. Soundtrack's solid. The tracks fit the environments pretty well. The cutscene stuff lends the mood pretty nicely.
Open your freaking heart, dude.
Open your heart. That's right.
Yeah, when the intro hits, man, it's just right.
That's right. And you could tell they were just super into that one. What else? Sound is hit or miss. I think the core in-game...
Sonic Team's never had a good handle on sound design.
No, they really haven't. The example everyone likes to point out is the first Robotnik boss fight where he explodes with no explosion sounds. Like, that's kind of an obvious one. But, like, the Chao just jump around making the same dumb noise the whole time. There's a lot of... whatever it is. There's a lot of repetition in a lot of areas with things like that. I can't point to other specific examples. I know we like all jokingly love him and go, off about that, but Big's voice needs to just never see the light of day again.
Really?
It so readily encompasses everything that people love to loathe about these games so perfectly. Like, look at this! Look at this! Why is this here?
St. John, I think, has said that he doesn't even like. He didn't even like voicing Big.
Can we just appreciate this for just a second? Just right here.
No, hold on.
Yes.
There. Come back.
His stupid little
this
safety
is why
belt.
People hate 3D stuff.
I'm begging you, please.
It's that goddamn track in the back. It's Froggy, come back. It's the janky like cutscenes. That's all of it right there. It's rare that it kind of sums itself up so well like that. What else? What was I talking about before I went off on that?
You're talking about music and voice
Sound
acting.
design. Yeah, sound design.
Sound.
Sound leaves some to be desired. We've talked about the voice acting a lot at
Much.
this point. That's not necessarily the game's fault. The sound design's lacking. That's usually the case. Nothing's different. Anything else big on gameplay we missed? I kind of glossed over most of the high-level stuff about all 6 characters. Again, if you were to just like kind of magically cut out Amy and Big, I don't think I'd be super upset. But other than that, I think it's all serviceable at worst. You know, kick ass at best. There's degrees. What do we got going on in the chat here? We're talking about like 06 and Rise of Lyric, and please don't. It's just
They're having a contest to see who.
Which one's worse?
To see what's the worst Sonic game, which is
Sonic 06. That's not hard. What were
we all know what the best Sonic game is. The only game to ever get 10 out of 10 from IGN, Sonic Pocket Adventure.
You're right. Sonic Pocket Adventure. Hands down, best one, no questions asked. That's right.
Perfect 10 out of 10. Flawless.
Perfect. I can't believe. Yeah, that's right. I can't believe. I was gonna seriously best Sonic game ever, Sonic Mania, and you don't at me, miss me with that like Sonic 2 BS. It's all Mania. It's all Mania forever.
Sonic 2? How can you say that when
Sonic
3K is next to it?
If you put those two side by side, it's no contest. Anyway, what were you gonna say? 06 or Rise of Lyric? Which one's worse? And then we're putting that to bed, chat. I don't want to talk about it no more.
Oh, you're asking me?
Yeah.
I've barely played 06.
Okay.
I've played all of Rise of Lyric. Man, I don't know, dude. I think Rise of Lyric's a little better because it feels just more like a flat line.
As opposed
it just feels more uninspired, where 06 feels
you could put any
feels inspired, but inspired by all the wrong things.
You could put any like generic mascot into Rise of Lyric, and it could be a functional game.
Yeah, no human ever kisses Sonic in Rise of Lyric.
Yeah.
Instead, a very forgettable snake villain says mean things about it.
Yeah. Often.
You know,
done. No more.
Which people... Okay, never mind.
What? Which people what?
I was going to say, which people could actually argue that makes Rise of Lyric worse, because it's forgettable, because at least 06 is such a crap show that you remember it more, but I think that's kind of...
Yeah.
No, Rise of Lyric's better.
Okay. We're on the same page with that.
For the record, I pre-ordered Rise of Lyric.
Oh.
I was actually...
Oh, no.
My, Facebook, on this day, so many years ago, thing came up, like, not too long ago, and it was me saying, man, I'm so excited for Sonic.
God.
And I'm like, man, this tweet did not age well.
Honest to God, though, that's how I was with Duke Nukem Forever when it came out, because I pre-ordered it. I bought it full price day one, and I was like, finally, Duke Nukem, this is going to be great. I can't wait. And then, oh, God.
Wow.
Just the disaster.
Sorry, dude.
Yeah, so I feel it. But
Duke Nukem, though? Come on, man.
Yeah.
When was he ever good?
I don't know. People fall all over Duke Nukem 3D. I don't know.
Shake it, baby. Like, no.
Shake it, baby.
It's like, yeah, douchebag forever.
Oh, man. And that, I was going to say, to John St. John's credit, I think he does a great job with Duke Nukem, such as it is.
He enjoyed it more than his big role.
Oh, yeah, because it's so much more fun. The captain's log.
Oh.
He's in the bathroom. It's
Drake.
so bad. But he commits, right?
Yeah. That's what you need. Drake's Cove says, we all thought Boom was going to be better. Don't feel bad about the pre-order. Thanks, Drake Cove. Make me feel good, but I like it.
We got each other's backs on
Rare Foil asks, is this about to wrap up?
Oh.
Okay, sorry. Guess we're going on a little too long.
Damn.
Can we get into the story already? That's
No, we didn't even get to the story yet. Oh my god. So yeah, this I think is where we're gonna butt heads a little bit.
Oh man.
Something bugging you? No time for games, Sonic.
Let me just get it out of the way. It's probably very hard for you to divorce this story from the terrible presentation because it's pretty sensitive.
I'm not sure that would it be more objective of me to do that? I guess so. That is tough because they're so sort of intrinsically linked, and that's the case with any game. When you play it at the time, you know, you just kind of take it for what it is. Like I don't know,
Sonic, wait up!
BioShock, for example. Story's blowing people's minds, and it has its like moral choice system or whatever. But then it ages a little bit. Other games start doing that, but better and more well presented, and all of a sudden, it doesn't look as good by comparison anymore. I'm assuming there's some of that going on here as well. I will say, for what it's worth, I think there is a pretty substantial amount of story relative to the amount of game that you're playing. And for my money, again, it might just be the presentation's fault, but it's not super engrossing necessarily, and I don't need a super engrossing story in my Sonic game. To some degree, maybe, it's not as good an idea, which is why people like Colors and Generations, I think. It's there. I'm gonna let you have some thoughts on that, because then that'll maybe give me some more context to work with.
What I appreciate here is that there's an actual universe happening. Sonic exists in a world that existed in the game before it and is going to exist in the game after it. It's not like Unleashed, where all of a sudden there's cartoony humans, and then Forces, there's no humans, it's only animals. It's like, what planet is this on? What is happening? What the freak? Just somebody explain to me. There's lore. Knuckles has been shown that he's the last member of some echidna species guarding an emerald. What's the deal with that? This goes back into that. Shows you what happened. Shows these ancient murals on the wall, which reflect the ancient murals found in Sonic 3's Hidden Palace Zone that predict this whole thing. Shows you, kind of gives you some insight into the whole Chaos Emeralds, which are a very important thing in this whole franchise. Again, that prayer that Decal says shows up again in SA2. Man, there was lore. There was actually something happening here. And I think the reason so many people throw such a fit about Sonic games having story nowadays is because there's just been so many bad stories that they just think it's inherently a bad idea. And that's one of the reasons why there's so many bad stories, is because Sega can't just pick a universe and commit to it, It's like the continuity resets every game, like it's a Saturday morning cartoon show or something. Which I think is really sad, because again, the precedent was set here that that's not the case. There's a deep lore going on, there's an actual story, it's expanding the world, it's building the world. Lots of world building in this game that gives you more insight into the characters. Again, the characters have personalities that you will see get fleshed out further until they retcon it all and just decide that everyone has a new personality every new game. That is why I appreciate the story in Sonic Adventure, because there was a time when having story in a Sonic game wasn't a swear word. I was watching a video the other day that was saying that was talking about superheroes, and specifically superhero movies, and the public perception of characters is shaped by how they're portrayed in the movies, because not a lot of people read the comics. So because Superman has kind of had some weird jank movies recently with Batman v Superman and Man of Steel, there's a lot of people saying that Superman is detached and inhuman and this weird god that you can't relate to. And the guy that made this video was a comic book nerd, saying that the Superman he knows from the comics is actually very relatable, because he's Clark Kent first and Superman second. And so he's saying it's not that Superman is a bad character, it's that people haven't seen a good incarnation of him recently. It's not inherently flawed, and that's what I feel like with story in Sonic games. It's not that it's bad to have story in Sonic games, it's just people haven't got a good one in a long time. This
Which-
is grounded. It has context. You know what I mean?
I guess the moment-to-moment bits of it don't hit as well as maybe later games might. If you want to call it the script, the screenplay or whatever, is very, very stilted, which I guess is, just the product of maybe not having actual writers and just the dev teams trying to make it happen themselves.
Yeah.
But there's definitely, one thing I think you can credit games like Colors and Lost World for is the fact that their scripts are, since they have actual trained writers behind them, flowing with some degree of structure and proper, tone and delivery and all that kind of stuff. Whereas with SA1, maybe the lore is bigger and the world is broader and it's more developed, but the script is so stilted that it doesn't invite you into it as well.
I guess that's kind of the irony, is that the later games like Colors, the execution of the dialogue and the writing is so much better, but the spirit and the soul of it is just kind of dead.
Right.
Where
it's a much lighter world, like you said, that can, jump around much more readily because they don't take the time to ingrain themselves in anything, as opposed to something like this, which is so very clearly sort of like they were incredibly,
they were into
trying
this.
to pay attention to how
They
the world
believed
is
in this
built.
story.
Yeah, oh definitely. It's just
It's the soul there that really gets me,
which I think you can. The word I like to use in situations like that is earnest. Like, you can tell they were just, really honest to God trying, and maybe they just didn't have, the writing talent in the programmers section to pull it off.
Yeah, it's because with Colors, to me, it feels like they're not even trying. It's like they just hear, Warren Graff, you're a native English speaker, make this sound natural.
And see, I don't
it.
think that it's that it doesn't sound like it's trying so much as it's built for, 9-year-olds. Which some, in other cases, can be construed as lazy or for lack of trying. It just I
hate that argument in anything, that you should make it dumber because it's for kids. Because I was 9 when I played this game, or I was 9 when I watched a lot of stuff. I mean, I grew up with the Batman animated series, so maybe that's just my bias there. But come on,
Panda Rumi, I like Color Story. I did too, and I mean, I'm biased toward that game in general for reasons we've discussed way too many times. But it's not. Maybe that's a little more of the issue I think that we're kind of talking about here, is that it doesn't have the cohesive world of adventure to back it up as much, so it just kind of leans on its easy jokes and
it's the BBE.
A lot of people point to the BBE, which is a terrible line, by the way.
Yeah.
But
I mean,
it's
did never go on a
built
snooze
to
cruise.
be super light fare, it's movie popcorn as opposed to a proper entree at a restaurant, which is what Sonic Adventure's trying to be.
Man, I wouldn't even say it's popcorn. It's more like a gumdrop.
That's
the thing I hate. It's Colors is a better story because it's safer, because it doesn't stick its hand out, because it might get hit. And I'm like,
Colors.
Sonic Adventure just dived in.
Colors is a more well-told story, for whatever it's worth. In terms of the stuff we were talking about with the structure of the script and even going line by line. But they're very different beasts, and it's almost sort of unfair to compare the two because they're trying to be very different things.
Let's just see you take him.
So narrowing it down back to adventure, I think those are maybe its biggest problems, and I absolutely appreciate the fact that it's trying to build its own cohesive world and give everything sort of structure and placement and kind of, grounded in something real that you can keep coming back to.
Yeah, I mean, Skydeck is literally the egg carrier. The level matches up with, the layout of the level matches up with actual pieces of the egg carrier.
Birdie seems to be in trouble.
Speeps Highway did a whole video on it.
Yeah, which is cool, and that's the effort's great to see that.
If you don't,
It's just, and again, I guess it's really not the game's fault, but it's just not, I don't think, told in a way that is really sort of engrossing beyond laughing at, how bad that line delivery was, or looking at the 18 millionth mouth movement that doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
Which is, again, maybe a little unfair because of when the game was made and the technology available to it.
Rare foil? You can't just say Transformers across the board and just refer to, like, are you only referring to the Michael Bay? Man, the logo's deep. We can't forget about the 87 cartoon movie. Can't forget about Beast Wars and Beast Machines. I'm stopping there.
Your Transformers knowledge far outweighs mine. Fun fact, never having gotten too much into that franchise, I went with a bunch of friends to Revenge of the Fallen when it came out. We were in high school at the time. And even then, like, I'm sitting there, they're doing, like, the Wrecking Ball jokes and, like,
yeah,
the Nickelback music cues, and I'm like, whatever this is, you ruined it.
Man, okay, so that's a good example of what I was just talking about with, like, the Superman thing. People think Transformers is stupid now because those dadgum Michael Bay movies are so stupid. But, dude, I think it's almost a great example. If you watch the 1987 cartoon movie of Transformers, it's kind of like Sonic Adventure in that the animation is a little crap and janky, but, man, is the heart of the story so much better.
And that's
I have that thing on VHS. Just want to point that out. Show my age there. But
I'll kind of liken that to, this is a real out there example, but a Charlie Brown Christmas, right? That is a special where, like, the animation is like a dumpster fire. There's just so many technical problems with it, but it is, as for my money, the best Christmas special ever made because the soul is there. It has a deep message to tell. I think it manages to tell it well as opposed to, you know, some of the stuff we were talking about here. But that's the same idea, right? Really bad presentation, but the soul is there, and that's why people love it so much. So I get it.
I have a newfound respect for you for liking Charlie Brown's Christmas so much.
Oh, that is far and away my favorite Christmas special. It is the one.
Nice, man.
That's right. So what else? Rare foil. The latest Izuka lore is that every game is a separate universe, which makes even less sense considering generations.
I know, that's like such an easy cop-out.
You gotta just, at some point, you just give up and be like, alright, whatever, let's just roll with it. Because it's pretty clearly, you know, not gonna be this again. And if it were, like, where does SA3 pick up? Is it, like, gonna be rooted in the same world? Because, like, none of the people that worked on this are still there.
Dude, just nuke it. Start over.
Just start it all over, so, like, what Sonic 06 was trying to be, but actually do it this time.
Yeah. Like, the Archie comics, RIP, went on for how many years, and they managed to keep it making sense, you know, and having a world for many, many years. Like, it's not that hard. Just start over.
Yeah. It's just, I don't know. What else? We got some comments going here. They're talking about, like, what is lore and what is canon in Generations. I will say I was really disappointed in Generations' story, quote unquote, because of, again, the real lack of it, and that's really kind of setting itself up for, like, the deep dive into Sonic's past, and we're going to make fun of all these levels, and there's so much opportunity for, like, subversion and making fun of those tropes and what each of those games did wrong or right.
That requires a writer that requires a writer.
It requires actually, which the colors guys are not going to give you. So that was sad.
Look at some Wikipedia articles.
You get the one crack about Chemical Plant, and that is it.
It's like, oh, somebody remembers playing Sonic 2. They made it to at least the second level.
Someone played Sonic 2, made it to Chemical Plant, and made a joke about it. A+.
They probably didn't make it past that part, and that's why that joke's in there about the purple water.
Like, they definitely didn't hit Sky Sanctuary. They have no idea what Seaside Hill is. Like, you start making fun of them all together, like Speed Highway, City Escape, Crisis City. These all look real, you know, similar to each other. What's going on, guys?
This Wikipedia article about Sonic says he had a game about genies. All right, put in a line about saving genies from Magic Flame. Okay. Warren, you got any other ideas? Oh, okay.
Call classic Sonic fat.
Hey, the ship is losing out!
Brilliant! And then you get like 8 jokes out of that, and that's like, I can go home at 3. That was an easy day, guys.
That's not classic Sonic. That's Sonic from another dimension now.
Whatever, man.
I mean, he's gonna be like Sonic doesn't have to be like Spider-Man, where there's like 7 versions of him.
Caitlin Sprite. I feel like Sonic Team are just trying to mess with those of us who care about the lore. Probably. I mean, they clearly don't care. Why should you?
Like, deliberately trolling us? It's like, hey, all you neckbeards that care about the story.
And see, maybe that's why they know. They know that you all hate their games, so Sonic Team just screws with you.
Yeah.
That's
ultimate.
Not true at all. That's the ultimate. No, it's not. They are incredibly earnest and put their heart and soul into everyone, and then we just tear them apart anyway. This is why, like, I never want to be a developer in games, because this is all that happens.
Well, no, just don't make a mess of your thing, just and you'll be fine.
Don't ruin everything forever. I don't know. Now, personally, if you're talking to me, I have never really cared about the story in my Sonic games that much, or whether or not the lore is there or whatever. If I'm a gameplay first kind of guy in the Sonic games. Like, I'll harp on other games like Halo 5 for having a subpar story compared to the other ones. I raged on that forever. I still will.
Now, why is that? Is it just because the story's been so crap that you just stopped caring?
For Sonic?
If Sonic had a good story consistently, do you think you would start caring more?
Yes, I think so. Because when you look at, and again, I kind of got to go back to the shooter well for most of those examples, because that's where a lot of these stories are. When you look at series like Halo, like Gears of War, like Bioshock, that have these really deep, engrossing narratives in a world that they've so carefully crafted, and they adhere to those rules every time, and the product is consistently good, then you notice when it dips, you start caring about things that are out of place or wrong. With Sonic, since there was really never any attempt to hold on to that sort of stuff past these first 2 3D games, it's like, who cares?
Give me the emeralds you have.
Yeah, and I think that's the difference of where you came in. Because when I was into Sonic, there was a precedent. It was that they cared, and they cared from game to game to game, then all of a sudden they stopped. And that's why you have a bunch of people, going like, what's the deal? Because it used to matter, and it used to care.
Your Colors is my Halo 5. Because it just sort of, or Forces or whatever. Your one where the story is just wrong is Halo 5 for me. Because I'm, just to put it in perspective for you guys, I goddamn love Halo. It's one of my favorite franchises. And I got really into the stories of like 2 and 3 and especially 4, and you get familiar with characters, you know their motivations, you know where they're coming from. When they start acting out of character, when the stories that are being told just don't measure up to the old ones, and you start poking at all those holes, you start wishing for the old stuff, and then you're afraid you're never going to get it back. And as far as I'm concerned, I haven't seen any indication that we're going to get, a story like Halo 3 or Halo 4 again, so I get sad. Is that how you get sense when you look at like Sonic Adventure 2 compared to like Generations? It's just, I'm sad. That's not right.
Yeah, I think you're starting to understand it. Because if I played Halo 5, I've never...
You wouldn't give a shit at all.
I've never played a Halo game. I'd just be like, oh yeah, the shooting's fun. What's
wrong
with the story, guys?
Yeah. And I'm sitting over here like, that was like 30 seconds, and why is Halsey acting that way, and Cortana's not Rogue anymore, and this is so wrong.
There's it all making sense now.
Yeah. I get it.
Testing 1, 2, 3.
Okay.
You,
now
the elite
to
and
kind of start
are here today.
winding it down here, because we've really covered
Here
a lot
a
of
very special announcement.
It helps to, like any game of this age,
It's a tale
treat it as a product of its
Very
time,
unique.
so the issues with presentation and some of the nitty-gritty gameplay stuff isn't maybe as glaring necessarily. And in that sense, I can definitely appreciate that, this really landed with a thunderbolt when it came out, and garnered love from a lot of people, and rightfully so. Coming at it from a modern perspective, it has some exceptionally glaring flaws, definitely hasn't held up well. Even its real high points are kind of held back and hamstrung to some degree by the general, like I say, Sonic Adventure jank of the whole thing. But if you...
Trademark that.
I will trademark that. Because that's the best way to just whatever this is, describe it. But if you give it the benefit of the doubt and sort of, especially if you've never played it before, go in with an open mind and just give it a shot. It's not going to be for everybody, but It sure does try, and I think it's fun. I liked it. I'd play it again. Oh,
Really?
yeah.
So, just the Sonic stages, though? 'Cause that's what a lot of people say, that whenever they replay it, they just play the Sonic stages.
No, you know, I would play through Tails again. I would play through Knuckles again.
It's hesitation.
Oh, and just to clarify, Rare Foil, first of all, it's on now because you're dismissing Halo. I didn't dismiss Duke Nukem. I dismissed Duke Nukem forever. I know a lot of people like Duke Nukem 3D.
I dismissed Duke Nukem.
I don't play it as much. That's so go after his franchises. Don't go after mine. What else? Yeah, there's, like I said, you cut out Amy and Big, and I could play this game over again, and that would be great. But there's too much cruft for me to want to go through it all, start to finish 100% again.
Corrupt.
I would cherry pick the good bits for sure. The excess stuff, the fluff, the characters that aren't so great. Cruft. It puts a good foundation for SA2, which we're gonna play. If you're just joining us or haven't, tuned in a while, we are working on SA2 for next year. We're gonna play through it, which is gonna be fun if I remember correctly. And we got some more fun stuff going on. So you got me. Sonic Adventure's not bad, even though. Did I ever say it was? I just kind of pooped on it.
Yeah, I think it's got bad parts. Is that kind of what you're saying?
Yeah, it's not. It's a product of its time, and not everything hits the mark.
You know what's weird is that like Sonic Adventure in like 2017 has just as much bad and good as Sonic Forces does on day one.
Yeah, right.
You know what I mean? Like the mixed bag of it from Forces was there from the start. The mixed bag of Adventure kind of started coming over time.
And you know what? To be fair, it's to put it in perspective, we did the Forces stream, and then I sold the game like a week later. Like as soon as the eBay auction was over, it was out of my house, and I never wanted to see it again.
I did not know that.
For Adventure, if I had like a physical copy of Adventure, I would hold on to it. I'd want to come back to it at some point. It's not, like, oh yeah, it's done. It's out of here. But there it is.
Robot is my friend.
And again, that's not to like disparage Sonic Forces as like the end all, trash product. It's just at no point was it engaging or fun enough for me to want to play it again. Period. There's definitely stages and campaigns in Sonic Adventure that I want to come back to. So there's a little context for you. Someone asked, "Did you not like Forces much?" At us.
What about you?
It's the most mediocre game I've played in a long time. And we discussed all of that on the anniversary stream, or not the anniversary stream, the live playthrough. Forces is whatever. It's fine.
Forces just like as middle of the road as you can get.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's certain games that just sort of almost like define like
Sonic.
average middle of the road, like you said. That's Forces. There's nothing glaringly wrong with it, but at no point is it does it rise above its potential or present anything that lasts or stays with you. Like Drake's Cove just said, Forces is just happened. It's just there.
There's nothing like
it's like that
offensive.
that mediocre filler Netflix series you put on to like go to sleep to.
I really think Tristan overhyped it when he's like, "This is gonna be the most divisive Sonic game."
He did hype that up a little bit. It's
I'm
not,
like
aside from the water slides, it's not like painfully broken or anything.
I'm like, I couldn't think of a less offensive Sonic game.
Yeah,
like a less like it doesn't touch me in any way.
Yeah. Oh
just
yeah.
like
and that's like every reaction across the board from everybody. They're like, I have no strong reactions about this. This is a game. You can play it.
Who wants to go get some burgers?
Who wants to, yeah. This is a game. It sure happened. Where do you want to go for lunch? That's pretty much it. So there we go. I couldn't dissect Adventure any harder if I tried. Oh man, so there it is, everybody. We played Sonic Adventure today. It was good. What else, Noah? Anything else on your mind? How you doing, man? It's been a bit.
What's up?
We've been only talking for like, you know, an hour and a half.
It's only been.
Now you decide to ask me how and make sure I'm doing okay.
Now that
I've
brass tacks is out of the way.
Give me the emerald you have.
I've actually been suicidal this whole time. It's until, you know, the hour and a half that I've actually overcame that in the period of time. It was all thanks to Sonic Adventure too.
Everything is rosy again.
Want to talk SA Remastered?
Rarefoil wants to talk about SA Remastered. We sort of mentioned this earlier in the stream, and you are welcome, Monobro. We are here for you. And
you know the project he's talking about specifically.
There's an actual project?
There's a Twitter fan-made Sonic Adventure Remastered. Yeah, type that up.
Oh, yeah, here we go.
Yeah, I think I'm going to actually be surprised if I ever see any working gameplay of that thing.
Look at this.
Just because it seems like they're like, man, we're making the graphics look good. But I'm like, dude, the biggest part is making a Sonic that controls in 3D space.
Yeah, I was gonna say, if you just make SA1 prettier, it's not gonna help. I mean, it will help, but if all you do is put a fresh coat of paint on the lip flap and Sonic controlling the way he does, they don't even.
Yeah, but they're not rebuilding. You know, they're not working. It's not a mod. It's from scratch, so they can repaste the cutscenes and stuff. And I think they're re-recording all the dialogue. They have voice actors and everything.
We will never see this.
That's
kind
of what I'm thinking. Yeah, good luck.
Oh boy. We had, like I said, we mentioned this previously, but any actual official remastered version of Sonic Adventure is going to have to scrub this thing hard to be worth it. Sort of like, I guess, what Crash Bandicoot did, but instead of sticking one-to-one to how the gameplay felt, I wouldn't mind if they tuned it up a little bit.
Yeah, I said this before. Me and Nerdword talked about this on a discussion. We want the game as we remembered it, not as it actually is.
Which is what a lot of those modern remakes do. It's Game X as you remember it, except for Sonic 4, I guess. Which was,
like you ever see like the Ocarina of Time in Unreal Engine, and you ever seen those like videos, and like the comment, the #1 comment will be like, people don't understand, but because it's like super realistic, you know, Zelda. And, like, people don't understand this, but this is what it looked like to us in '98.
Yeah. It was just, oh my god. You know, it was unreal. You know, we're playing Mario 64, where the level just ends, like, right at the end of the geometry boundary, and we're like, this is so realistic!
Yeah.
Oh my god.
So that's the thing. If they remake these games, they gotta make it feel the way it felt at that time. And that's a hard thing to do if you don't remember it. I really think it'd have to be like you'd have to find like the Christian Whitehead equivalent of like an adventure
for how big Sonic Adventure is, that's gonna have to be a big team.
Yeah. It could be me if I only had talent. That's just the one thing I'm missing.
It would be a really dramatic fan undertaking to fan remake Sonic Adventure in that way.
Yeah, so good luck to those guys.
Yeah, I don't see that.
I mean, and if they make it happen, dude, do it. I'd love it.
More power to them. But I just like from a business standpoint, I don't see that as
business
super practical.
Yeah, like I haven't seen a single playable thing moving yet, so.
Yeah, so I don't know, man. Good luck to him, I guess. So what else? That's it, right?
I think so, man.
I think we're pretty much out of here. All right, so programming note before we get on out of here. We will probably, I'm guessing we'll have a couple of one-off streams before the end of the year. Around the last couple of weeks of December, I am starting to take a lot of time off of work, and I'll be not where my streaming PC is. So after like next week, we're probably going to call it quits on streams for the year. But when we come back in 2018, there's going to be a lot of cool stuff coming your way, including Sonic Adventure 2, including as like teasers for ones I would want to play. I'd love to take another crack at Sonic and the Secret Rings. That was one I played a lot when I was younger, and I'd love to go back to it and see, because it probably actually sucks a lot more than I thought it did, and I'd love to prove that.
Yeah.
I was thinking about getting a little more focus on mods and fan-created content, so if not fan games explicitly, then, you know, level mods for Generations or Unleashed, that kind of stuff. So we'll see.
Dude, have you played Emerald Coast in Generations?
I've never played a Generations level mod. I haven't done any of the PC stuff yet, so it's on the list. That's something to think about. I think I would like to, before the year is up, do another Drunk Blue Sphere stream for you guys on a random weekend night, which would be super fun, as scheduling allows. It's been a while, and that would be good. Get the Moki mod. Remind me if we ever do that.
Get Roger Van Wire. Why? When did he ever leave? He just does his YouTube channel. Like, what?
Oh. Well. Anything else before we kind of take off here now?
I'm good, man. I think we've probably talked. Rareful has been wanting to leave for a while.
Yeah, that's right. we're dumping on everybody. All right, I guess that's it then, everybody. Thanks so much for tuning in. This has been Past Tense, TSSZ Plays Sonic Adventure. Stay tuned for the rest of the stuff on our Twitch. Under the stream now, we have a dedicated link to our streaming schedule, so you should keep an eye on that. We'll leave that updated as new stuff comes in, and it'll be a great time, probably. So,
best sell ever.
I can't promise anything.
It'll be a great day, probably.
The odds are pretty good that it's at least going to be a little bit fun. So, just vague enough to work. Have a great night, everybody. Enjoy your whatever is happening the rest of the week, and we'll catch you back here soon.
Bye, guys.